in a, so there'll be a recording for everybody who is present here because we're going to cover a lot of stuff here. And I want to just make sure the people that are here can have those recordings. There won't be recordings of the breakout room. So the stuff that you share with fellow CEOs, that's totally confidential. That's going to sort of what happens in the breakout room stays in the breakout room. And I am really excited that you're here because this is your time. This is your time. This is my time to focus on our business. So I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to be asking some really tough questions, maybe challenging kind of questions, but I guess you're here to be challenged, not just to be ass kissed. Because I'm sure I just got somebody who left as soon as I said ass kiss. So I can't promise I'm not going to curse in this session because I get really passionate about what we're talking about. We've got Troy here in the house. Hello, Troy. Are you here? Yeah, there you are. Great
Yep.
to see you, Troy. Welcome.
How you doing, Greg?
Great. So Troy worked with Pitch Kitchen last year, and so I'm the CEO of Pitch Kitchen, hosting this. Also, the author of what book am I the author of? Storycraft for Disruptors. So, just for everyone that's getting in now, we're going to do a breakout session in just a few minutes so you can introduce yourself to some smaller groups. But there's going to be a test, like a pop quiz. So, in the breakout groups, I'd like you to share three things with fellow geniuses that you have in the room. With whatever you're doing right now, whatever business you're running, it's essentially positioning that Wendy described really well what it is. It's three things. It is who it is that you're selling to. It is the second thing, which is, if you want to write this down, that might be a little helpful. The second thing is uh, the who it is that you're sorry, the who it is you're selling to. The second is your offer, what it is that your business is offering. And the third thing is what problem does it solve? So if you listen very clearly to the answers to those questions, you'll get a sense of the positioning. And I want you to listen to and rate on a scale of 1 to 5 how clear or how confusing that position is. And we're going to be giving in this session, once we go through the breakout sessions, I'm going to be walking you through the three shifts that you absolutely need to make in your business in order to cut through the noise and grow in your market and position yourself as a company of a totally unique company, and also how to use AI. Now, this is I would say to use AI in a unique way that's going to allow you to double your win rate, allow you to cut down by at least 50% the time that you and your team are spending writing content, and to guarantee that you'll also have no hallucinations and everything will be written, will be 100% on brand. I'm going to show you how to do that. This is a two-part CEO roundtable. So we're going to get to as much as we can in this roundtable. Whatever we don't get into, we're going to get into in 2 weeks from now. But the breakout rooms, that's the structure. You'll have about 7 minutes and you'll introduce yourselves and you'll offer those three things, really what you do, who you sell it to, and what problem you solve. And the reason why I wanted to introduce problem is because that is so core to being clear in your positioning. Would anyone here like to speak about anything I've spoken about so far? We've got some geniuses here in the room. We've got Mark, we've got Troy, Wendy. Um, we've got a gentleman by the name of Shift in the room. Anyone like to jump in and talk a little bit about the power of great positioning and how that separates companies that are just selling stuff from the companies that are really breaking through in their industry?
Well, Greg, I think you called me Shift, which I gotta say thank you.
Sure.
My name is Mark Cleveland. I'm exploring with Greg some of the good ideas that I've had and some of the opportunities to optimize. And I guess one of the ways that I'm using AI is to help with decision support, helping to matrix and draw out in my own voice um, measurements and questions that I can hear better if I'm asking myself the question, and I might even be able to receive the answer better. And I'm excited to learn how to do some of this automation that show you do so well, Greg.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, we'll jump into that later. Just admitting some people here as well. Cassandra's coming in. Anyone else like to to feedback what we're talking about here?
Yeah, hi, this is Gene. Yeah, I mean, positioning is so critical because, as you pointed out, if you can't differentiate from your competitors with a solid offer that solves a problem, not just speeds and feeds, you're dead in the water. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to what I could, pull out of this meeting.
Great. Great. We'll jump into that. Thank you, Gene. Anyone else want to chime in and talk about positioning in general? And then we'll if anyone wants to, in front of the entire group, answer that question that I put out there, those three questions. What is your offer? Who you sell it to, and what problem you solve? Those three things. That's really what the introduction will happen in the breakout rooms. But feel free to do that, or just comment on the power and the importance of clear positioning.
This is Sanjay. Greg, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Jake, nice to see you.
I think I was trying to get funding for ongoing. One of the VCs asked me, like, who do you look like? How are you different from them, and what makes you better? So that's another way to think about positioning, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't answer those questions in 9 seconds with a clear statement that is a rebellion against the old way and that really positions you clearly, it's kind of you're dead in the water. So we're going to be giving you three shifts today, everybody, three fundamental shifts that you need to make, that the winning companies are using right now, and that now's the time to make these shifts. And at the end, I'm also going to be sharing opportunities for everybody here. So great. Anyone else want to chime in before we jump into a couple breakout rooms?
Yeah, hi, Cassandra. The only thing I would note is, as somebody that advises very large and mid-growth companies on M&A and strategy and have for years, one of the things that I find when I come to the smaller end, and by the way, happens all the way through to largest multinationals, people cannot. I actually had one in my kitchen last night, and I said to him, "What problem are you trying to solve?" And he went, "That's a really good question." I said, "You have to be able to answer to me. What problem are you trying to solve?" Fantastic sounding product, fantastically. I can see this. I'm starting to think through the use cases for you, but you didn't say, this is the thing that's something and something. And it could be that there's already a competitor that's solving it and there's just room for a second one. But you've got to be able to do that. And most people cannot, in a succinct sentence, tell me what problem they're solving. So I'd encourage everyone to be good at that.
Yeah, and we're going to practice that today. Cassandra, thank you so much. So let me put out a question right now for you. What's more important to you? On the right side, we have your product, which is your company, your service. And the other side, you can see my hands here, the other side is your message. Type in the chat if you don't want to speak verbally, but what do you think is more important? If you want to speak verbally, what's more important? Your product or your message? More important.
I'd say message.
Message.
Yeah.
Message.
And why is that? Is that kind of shocking? Because like, is it, my dad always said, build a better mousetrap, right? That's what my dad said. What's wrong with
But
that?
if nobody knows the mousetrap exists and they don't care, they don't recognize it as a mousetrap, or they don't have a mouse problem, then who cares?
Right. Now, there's another quick pop question to put in the chat. On a scale of 1 to 10, you can type in the chat or you can just verbally say out a number. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, nailed it. How confident are you and your team in your message? 1 to 10. A broad spectrum there. Are we a 7? Are we a 9? Are we a 3? Just put the
7.5, 8.
Yeah, 7.35. Okay, great. Great. We got Paul. We got an 8 from Paul. We got 3.5 from Alexander. Thank you for being honest, by the way. And once we go through these three shifts today, you'll see you may actually lower your number at that point because you realize that you're missing some fundamental things.
Yeah, I wanted to wait to find who the lowest number was because I wanted to be the lowest because I do feel that I have the lowest confidence in my message right now in positioning because I am repositioning. I'm in the middle of repositioning, which actually attracted me to this actual workshop.
Great. Great. No, thank you. We're going to get a lot out of it. So thank you for being honest. And we're going to jump into the breakout rooms in about 2 minutes, where you can speak more intimately to the groups. Just easier to talk to smaller groups. You can introduce yourselves. We'll have about 7 minutes in those breakout rooms. And the purpose of the breakout room is to answer one question Really, it's three questions. If you want to write this down. What is your offer? Who are you selling it to? And what is the problem that you're solving? And if you already can, say that in your own words, that's great. And I'd like you to go around the room and introduce yourself and do that. And then write down on a piece of paper on a scale of 1 to 5, how clear was that positioning to you? Did you get it? And then we'll come back to the main group and I'll ask for observations. And then we're going to go into the 3 shifts that winning companies make. Jason, do you have any question before we jump into the breakout rooms? Or are you good?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Thanks.
Any questions before we go out into breakout rooms? Can I repeat the 3? Okay, write them down. 1, what is your offer? And not necessarily in this order. Number 2, who do you sell to? Who is the tribe of people, the people that you are investing your time and your business and your staff's time helping making their lives better? That's essentially your ideal tribe of customers. Who are they? And 3, what is the problem that you're solving? And we're going to be talking about that. So any questions before we jump into breakout rooms? Great. Oh, thank you, Cassandra. Awesome for putting that in the chat. You're my hero. That's great. So let's go into breakout rooms and let's come back to this room in about 7 minutes. I think we'll do, how many breakout rooms? Let's do 2. Okay, let's see. Room 1 and room 2. Those are pretty big. Let me add a room. So it'll be 3 rooms. Let me do this one more time. Let me go to breakout rooms. Automatically assign. Oh, well, let's do this one. Rooms 3. Okay. So you should be able to join rooms.
Am I the first one back?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you get a chance to talk, Alpna,
I,
about?
I did introduce briefly, very briefly, the
Okay.
three answers, pretty much.
Okay. Hey, everybody. All right. So as we're getting back here, great. So let's just throw out the numbers in the chat. So on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 would be you've heard someone with a really great pitch. If you did you get any 5s, do you get any 4s? You get any 1s? What were some clarity bombs dropped that you really thought were great? What were some like common issues that you heard? Anyone would like to comment verbally or put in the chat? Great business ideas. Yeah. So any clarity bombs, anything you heard that was like, wow, that's a really great offer. It really had the 3 components. It had 1, a very clear problem statement. It had 2, exactly who we're selling to, and 3, what the offer was. Did you hear like anyone nail all 3? Okay, I'm hearing crickets right now. Can anyone hear me?
I thought that the guy who was doing LinkedIn consulting, LinkedIn market automations and non-digital, um, non-traditional digital marketing was pretty clear. I really understood what he was doing. I'm sorry that I can't remember your name or
That'd
the
be me.
company.
Thank you.
Nice
Great.
job, Paul.
Anyone else would like to say what they heard? You can throw out a number of what the average was for you, or you can say specifically what a common issue was that you heard.
Common issue for me were, well, anyone that, or companies that are anywhere, for me, it's got to be a lot more laser focused before, number one, I'm going to be able to find referrals for you, or if I'm going to continue listening to you, because if your message is that shotgun blasted and you're using a spray and pray, I'm not finding much value in what you have to say after that. So just FYI.
Yeah.
If I may add in, Greg, one of the things I could hear was that I think broadly everybody knew what area they are really focusing on, but the laser sharp focus, I think Rick, you were also mentioning that, seems like that needs sharpening.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen. How do I go present mode? No, slideshow. There we go. And let me go to share screen. So it needs to be sharp. It needs to be really, really sharp. And the reality is AI is not going to save you. I've been working full time in AI for the last year. And I can tell you that AI is not going to save a company that doesn't have its message story clear. This is the job of a CEO. This is your job to really dial this in. And I'm here to help you dial that in. And that's what this workshop is about. So those of you who don't know me, I'm Greg Rosner. I'm the CEO of Pitch Kitchen. And I'm going to segue now into the 3 shifts that I want you guys to be making. I've personally trained 113 now custom trained GPTs for public and private companies that has eliminated from my count about 5 million in marketing spend. I'm going to show you how to do that in this class as well as the second part in 2 weeks. I came from a background of selling, so it's really sales is my focus, not marketing, because I don't know about you, but I think a lot of marketing is just shitty. It sucks because it's all very solution centric and doesn't work in today's market. And my company, Pitch Kitchen, has literally designed thousands of websites and sales presentations and found a pattern that works. And that pattern created the magnetic messaging framework and the book Storycraft and the work that we do with our clients. I also run AI workshops for CEOs and their founders because I believe there's no shortage of tools right now, but there's a shortage of actual action and experimentation with AI. And that's where the rubber meets the road, as my dad says. And by the way, I'm in Florida right now taking care of my dad. He was in a car accident. I'm in Florida. I'm based typically in New York, but he's doing really great, guys. So just so you know, he's 90 and he is doing great. So there's hope for all of us here, but there's also no guarantees for all of us. Anyway, so when it comes to the story, it really is two things. The AI is really powerful. You guys need to use AI, but more important, you need to get your message nailed, your position first, and then we're going to be talking about exactly how to train the AI or the AIs that you use so that your team could reduce at least by 50% all the time they're spending on creating everything and reducing your costs. And the AIs will produce 100% on brand content instead of shitty content that has hallucinations. This is just a screenshot of the, by the way, do you see my screen?
Yes.
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 This is a screenshot of the AI workshops that we put on now, and we do custom workshops for organizations. And we work with a lot of CEOs. In fact, one of the CEOs that we work with is here present in this group. We worked with last year. Troy, I'm really glad that you're here. So let's jump into the work now. I want to share with you the three shifts that you guys need to make, and this is going to really help you dial in your positioning and grow. But first, I want to check in, is this you? And I know this isn't everybody that's here. I heard in one of the breakout rooms, there's someone here. Who is she that she's selling a business to consumer product that's very cool. So I'm not sure. Yeah, Wendy Green, you're selling a business to consumer. There's a lot of B2B folks here. So this may not be for you, but there may be some aspects of the three shifts that you can definitely walk away with. So some of the quick questions I want to ask is you're doing all the right things, but it's not, winning the deals that you should. And these are symptoms. You and your team are working really hard explaining to people and through your sales team, like what you're doing, why you're doing it, and why they should think it's a no-brainer. But for some reason, it is a big brainer for them. If you've asked GPT for help and you've asked GPT to write stuff, but the prompt that you're testing or using is getting back kind of like blandish, sounded like everybody else, just give me a 1 in the chat if that's what you're experiencing with GPT. Just getting some marketing content that really doesn't have teeth in it. So is this, you as well, that, a lot of your deals end up in no sales, even 6 months later? If that's you, it's likely that you haven't made these shifts in your positioning. If you have like a founder that's making one message and your sales team is saying another message and your marketing people are just, putting happy faces, so to speak, on your marketing, but everybody is telling a different story, this is a major problem for an organization, especially if you've got teams more than 5 people. If you have a Franken-Deck, give me a 2 in the chat here if you have a Franken-Deck. Does anyone know what a Franken-Deck is? Have you ever seen a Franken-Deck?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to get the chat going because I can't see the chat on my
Does that
screen.
mean a really big thing, enormous deck?
Well, it's a Franken-Deck, like Frankenstein, was built by many different parts
Okay.
and doesn't have a single cohesive purpose. And that's a Franken-Deck, and I'm sure you've seen them.
Sewn together from many pieces.
Yeah. So, and because what I like to focus on is when someone is confused by your position, confused, like what's the immediate position when you're confused by something? You're just like, meh, like, no, I'm not going to do anything. Like you need to be clear and sharp. And someone said this earlier in your message, on your homepage, in your proposals, in your LinkedIn post. How do you do that? We're going to be going through these 3 shifts that you need to do. If you're using words like this, give me a 3 in the chat. If you are guilty of using any of these words on your website. Give me a 3 in the chat. So these words I call self-ascribed. These are words that, first of all, don't mean anything to most people, but even if they did mean something, my question is, who says? So I don't see any 1s in the chats here, but a lot of people here, a lot of business owners get these words, not just from ChatGPT, because ChatGPT will give you, 5 of these words and 20 of them on a Sunday because it doesn't know any better, hasn't been trained. And I'm telling you this because I've spent a year immersed in training AIs. And I can tell you the base large language model has not been trained on good marketing. It's been trained on old playbooks. This is a good example of a Franken deck, by the way, where it's trying to compensate for the fact that the homepage doesn't tell the story. So they just create a document that hopefully does, but it doesn't. Here's an example of a website that uses words that mean nothing. Like if anybody here really can figure out what this company does, by the way, we help them turn this thing around. But if anybody knows what this company does, God bless you. And I can tell you that ChatGPT doesn't know what this company does because I've asked, what this means when I uploaded this old screenshot. By the way, this company turned around. Their messaging is great now and they're selling really well. This is another big symptom is that a lot of people here, and I heard from the pitches that, you're selling a very genius, sophisticated solution to smart people. So in a way, you're suffering from like the expert disease where like, how can the messaging be simple? Because our solution is so sophisticated. How can it be simple? But it can be, and we're going to be talking about it. So I wrote a book as well, and it's on the board. I don't know if it's as good as Seth Godin's book or other books, but I think the difference that I want to point out here is you probably read some great books about how to do positioning. But the reason why you're here right now in this discussion is because you know how to do it in your head, but yet you haven't done it yet in your business. And maybe it's like, well, maybe I can hire a marketer that can do this. But the problem with that is marketers they're happy to market all day long, but they're typically not connected to like the sales thing. They just like put a lot of happy stuff on messaging. So I know that adding case studies and ROI calculators, that typically doesn't work. And AI isn't going to make it better. It's just going to make it worse because if your core message is weak, AI is just going to amplify the noise. So I know I'm talking a lot here, guys, but I wanted to really lay it down for you that the good news of this, that those aren't the real problems you have. Those are easily solvable. The real problem is that you haven't made these 3 shifts. And the third shift is probably, it can only be made if the first 2 shifts are made. And I'm going to show you how to do that here in about 16 minutes, if possible. I don't know if we will, but this is a 2-part roundtable. So we're going to get to the second part likely in 2 weeks. So this hard truth I shared with you, AI is not going to save you. New SDRs won't save you, and hiring another marketer won't save you because it's symptom stuff. And the old model of solution-centric selling doesn't work anymore because everyone is selling solution. It's really about dialing in the strategy. So this I found a quote, the most expensive part of your business is a confused customer. And I know that that is the truth. But once you make these 3 shifts, this is my promise to you that your team is going to tell one story. Your website's going to open minds, close and book calls. Your sales decks will close more deals because it'll be clear what it is that you're selling. If you're using sales decks, your AI tools will actually work to not just save you money, but you will be able to use it to collaborate to create amazing content. And your marketing stops being a money pit, which it often becomes. And I think the kicker, if we can get to the third shift, is you'll turn AI into a 100% on brand, always on money making machine without hallucinations, and it's owned by you. So Pitch Kitchen doesn't sell software. We're not a software company. We really in the teaching business, but this is the third shift we're going to get to either today or in a couple of weeks. All right. So let's jump into the first shift. Who's down to jump into the first shift? Give me a hello verbally or something in the chat. Who wants to jump in here?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. The first shift that you need to make, and this may sound totally freaking crazy, but is to lead a movement, not a campaign. Lead a rebellion. So who here, give me, verbally here or in the chat, are you guys selling what you consider to be an innovation? Something that is like, it doesn't exist, but you're selling it. Give me a yes or no verbally or in the chat. So I got I got a no from Troy. And so what's a definition of an innovation? An innovation is uh, something that offers a new way, a new approach to solving an old problem, right? That's what an innovation. So if you are selling that in your company, just give me a yes verbally so I can hear you, or type in yes in the chat.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So what does your innovation require? What does it require? So if you're just selling an innovation, here's the wall of innovations, by the way. And what do you see in this picture here that concerns you?
Nothing.
What do you mean nothing?
No clarity.
Yeah, this is a wall of innovations. And so the good news is the world needs your solution. And I believe sales is an act of leadership. Do you also believe that sales is an act of leadership?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
believe too. So what are you leading then? So you're leading a movement. You should be leading a frickin' rebellion against what? Type in the chat or speak now. What are you leading a movement or rebellion against? Paradigms. Interesting. Let's say more, Rick. So you're leading a movement against transformation. We don't
No.
want anyone to transform.
No,
Nobody.
no. The other way around.
So so that's it. Okay. So I need you to focus now, not on the thing you're selling, but the thing that the movement that you are leading. This is the work. This is the paradigm shift that I want you to make.
Okay.
So it looks like Paul, technology platforms, that's the thing you're rebelling against, Paul?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
wonderful. Great. Great. So you need to think about, in the voice of your message, in the voice of your marketing, in the voice of your website, you need to position yourself as an organization that is leading an uprising against something if you want to be a market leader. Now, every company that's succeeded in this, like Salesforce.com, do you remember what they did a rebellion against? They're like a multi-billion-dollar company now. Do you remember what their rebellion was against in like 2005? Anyone remember? I got gray hairs. I see some gray hairs out there. You guys probably
It
remember.
was it was companies that had
Yes.
contact management systems
Sanjay.
behind the firewall.
Sanjay nailed it. They were leading rebellions against software. That's exactly right, Sanjay. Absolutely. So there it is, that picture. I don't know if you remember this, but they were leading a movement. So part of this positioning is you need to lead a movement against the old way, the traditional orthodox status approach to winning. So this is a publicly traded company that we worked with. Now they're leading a rebellion against the old way of doing things for security. They're selling a biometrics product, but they're leading a rebellion against digital access, passwords, a world of passwords, because that doesn't work anymore in a world where there's cybercrime and identity theft. So they're positioning their product to be intelligent biometrics, which isn't just biometrics. And this is something we're going to get to in shift number 2. It's a certain kind of biometrics that is the movement. This is brilliant stuff, by the way, and they're crushing it right now. So let me ask you another question. If your customer is the hero and you're the guide helping them overcome the villain, actually, I'm saying, who are you? I'm saying you're the guide. That's who are you? I just gave that answer away. So let's jump to the villain. Who's the villain of the story? I know Troy loved this work when you apply story framework on your positioning. So anyone could say with your business here, who's the villain of your story in your business? The enemy that both you and your customer both have in common. Who is the villain? Anyone would like to say? Type in the chat or just say verbally.
Said confusion.
Confusion. Now, you have to be specific, though. Is that for your customers? They're confused, and you help them cut through with the Solomon sword of clarity. You help cut the confusion with clarity. Is that right,
Yeah.
Wendy? Love
Mhm.
that. Okay. So Troy, yes, in general, it is the status quo, but it can be very specific. Like Salesforce.com, the villain was software, and I think for Paul, it's technology platforms. So the idea here is, if you can push yourself right now, if you're going to work on your business, who is the villain of the story specifically? Let's dress them up. What are they wearing? Like who's the villain? Get clear on this, and it's going to really help. So everything you need to know about story framework, you know from the movie Lion King. And if you have children, you've probably seen this movie. You've got a hero, which is Simba, who has a severe problem because he was kicked out of his own home. His father was killed by this evil villain. And along came Rafiki. Rafiki, if you remember, he was found him sort of depressed in the jungle and gave him a path of what he needs to do to remember who he is, gave him a process in order to then go back to the promised land and restore balance to the force. And I know I'm mixing a couple movies here, but that's essentially the framework of a hero's journey. And you need to apply this in the same way to your business, where you're not the hero, your product is not the hero, the Superman on the chest, but your customer is. And there's other constituents that you need to be aware of in your messaging. Like, remember the hyenas? They're the allies of the villain. And so in your case, if you're selling a solution, they're going to be people and systems that are going to actively block your advancing of your product. You need to be aware of them and message and position along with that. So let me just stop here for a minute. Is this like, have you guys ever seen this concept before about positioning yourself as the guide in your story of your customer's transformation, as Wendy said, from the old way that's not working to the new way? Type in the chat or just say verbally.
Yeah, it comes from
Yeah.
Donald Miller's book, The Building a Story Brand, which I think everyone absolutely should read that. He just released version 2.
Yeah, it's an excellent book. Reading the book and doing it are two different things. A lot of people say, "Oh yeah, for sure, we should make our customers the hero," but they haven't actually figured it out how to do it. And it takes work. But I think the angle that you need to take is to focus on the problem and to stay focused on problem-centric messaging. I like to say your message isn't a TED Talk because nobody takes action from watching TED Talks. And the purpose of sales, and sales, as we talked about, as an act of leadership, is that you need to get people to take action. Essentially, stop what they're doing, stop the old way, and start doing it a different way. And the start isn't just start working with us. It's start if you're offering a solution or product, it means that they need to change what they're doing. So it's like start doing it the way that they need to do it. So any comments here? Do you know, type in the chat or say verbally, what would you suggest that your customers should stop doing? And what would you suggest that they need to start doing? Feel free to say verbally or in the chat. Stop what? Stop what? Come on, guys, fill in the blank. Say.
In my case, I would say that stop doing too many initiatives in parallel and start, focusing on the key. In my case, like I said, transformation is the key initiative. You can't have transformations running all in parallel in finance and procurement, everything. Then it's like,
So
all the
stop multiple swim lane transformations. Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Cool. And what are you saying start doing?
Mine would be stop believing you can't do things in parallel.
Cool. Interesting. Yeah, that's great. That's great. I love it that they're
Gotta
different.
get together.
No, that's great. So start
Mine
doing.
would be stop the stops. Sorry, Greg.
Yeah. Stop the stop. So without context, it means nothing. So
Well, if there's a stop point in your sales process, the customer has oftentimes that's an exit ramp to them.
yeah.
So you need to be
I
able
love
to
that.
move
So
all
what
the way through.
I love about it, because that's problem centric, and people, when they hear you and your marketing, your messaging, your website, your sales presentation, and all of it seems to be coming from the voice of the trusted guide that's helping them stop doing the thing that's not working and empathizing with the thing that's broken and encouraging them to do the right thing that's going to lead them to the Pride Rock. That is the voice that you need to be taking. So I'm going to stop right now because I'm going to run to the second shift. But before we do that, what are your thoughts about this first shift that we're talking about, which is to lead a movement?
I really like the phrase that you used, that sales is an act of leadership. I don't have sales experience, and I'm in a position of needing to get those skills. And that really helps me put it into perspective. So thank you for that.
So marketing is an act of leadership, but most of the shitty marketing that we see is not leading. It's just, what is it? It's freaking marketing, isn't it? It's just market, market, market. It just doesn't work. But the right sized of marketing, this is what you need to train your AIs on, is take the position of helping your tribe. And I'm going to use like story language here because it's very helpful. Helping your tribe, the people that you're serving, overcome their challenges and start doing it the right way. So type in the comments below. I know we spent the first breakout session where I really like pushed everybody to say very clearly what is the number one problem that you solve. Type in the chat now. I'd like to see in the chat, what is the number one problem that you solve? Because this is the thing. This is like gold, the gold nugget that I want you to come away with today, which is that number one problem. And I will give gold stars out to those that nail their number one problem today in this CEO Roundtable. All right, so David, I can't give you a gold star because what that is you're saying we make it easy to produce and distribute their content. So David and everyone here, why is that not a problem? Why is that not a problem that David wrote? Should I say it? I'll say it because it's pointing to a goal of a future place in a possible reality where it's easy to produce and distribute content. It's pointing to a goal. It's not pointing to the present problem that may be untenable.
Fascinating. Okay.
Yeah. So the number one problem is, what problem is your customers facing right now that you're telling them to stop enduring,
Right.
stop
Right.
talking
There's an urgency in that, and it's the moment now, the moment.
now. Yeah,
I
because
get
that's
it.
like you
I
go
get
to a
it.
doctor. Anyone here that hear the doctor frame before? So put on the doctor frame and get really clear with your prospects in your marketing, in your messaging. So I like to say, start with the problem. Customers buy more when they feel understood than when they try understanding you. And if you spend any time in sales, and I'm sure you guys have as well, you know your sales team will buy more when your salespeople are empathizing and understanding and acknowledging the problem that they're facing. And I said before to someone here, are you undervaluing the problem? Let me just hear from anyone here, or type in the chat. Give me a yes or no. Do you feel that your sales team is undervaluing the problem and the impact of that problem that your customers are facing, are dealing with today, if they do not change? Do you feel in general that you and your team are undervaluing the problem?
Quite possibly.
So I purposely said undervaluing the problem, not undervaluing the product, because this is the shift that we're talking about. And if you've spent any time in sales, you know that people buy more when they feel and see a problem in their business. They buy painkillers more than they buy vitamins. Vitamins are things to achieve goals. Painkillers are things to put to rest problems. And this is just a fact. And positioning, this is a positioning discussion. Think about ways that you could position your offer that it's anchored in the problem. All right. So I want to get through to the second piece here, which is the second shift. So Jeff Aronson, CEO, before he made these shifts, confusing marketing content, pipeline was thin, letting key partners down. And after he made the shifts, he tripled revenue and six times increased the pipeline in 4 months after these shifts were done. Now, I can't promise this amazing result with everybody, but we see typically double win rates for this messaging is happening. All right, so let's talk about the next shift. The next shift here. I've got so much content here I want to get to, ready to shift to. And then we're not going to get to shift number 3 today, which is how to align AI. We're going to get that in 2 weeks. But if you do want to meet with me and my team to specifically talk about your business and how we could help you, I'm going to put in the chat here to everyone. I really should put this in earlier, but there in the chat is a meeting form you can fill out, and we can talk about your business. So in the remaining time that we have, I think we're going to do another 8 to 10 minutes for shift number 2. Are you guys game for that? Shift number 2? If you have to run, I'd understand.
I'll try to hang out.
Okay,
Yes.
shift
All good.
number 2. If you can't make it, come back to in 2 weeks. We'll get to shift number 2. All right. Shift number 2 is to claim your category or suffer and compete on price. And so what do I mean by claim your category? I mean name your category. So type in the chat or here anyone would like to say what is the category that you're selling in now? We're talking about positioning now. So what is the category that you're in right now? Who would like to say or put in the chat? Anyone?
I'm in the general category of professional services.
Okay. So if you were to claim your category, what might be the prefix or the pre-word that you can put in front of that category that would make what you're selling absolutely unique and a category of one? So we've seen it with telephones, right? And we've seen it with computing. NVIDIA just came out with accelerated computing, Apple's spatial computing. So it's like new categories. So it's essentially a category of computing where what Apple has done and what NVIDIA has done is they're in the computing category, but within that category, if we zoom in, they've created a new dent in the universe, and they're calling it spatial computing. And this is what you need to do as well. You need to take a piece from this playbook, take an existing category, existing market, known products, and then put your product and your unique category on top of it. So any ideas of what your unique category might be? And it's typically the how. It's the how you do things in IT and professional service IT that's different. Any
As a service.
what's that?
Channel as a service.
I like that. Yeah. So that's a new category. That's great. Any other categories anyone want to throw out? So here's a category, comfort ownership. Comfort Connect has created this. They're really crushing it right now. Marriott does this with vacation ownership. Very interesting. So it's a spinoff from that. Instead of owning homes, you're owning the time that you have in those homes. Jaguar Freight, their freight intelligence is the category that they're selling in, and that works. So you can look at so many different examples of this and companies that are really winning in their positioning, in their sales. They have added a word to the traditional category they're in. And by doing so, has created a unique category that positions themselves in a category of one. What do you guys think about this idea? Do you think you're going to try this on for size? Is this for some other organizations? Or do you think this might make sense for you to help you stand out in a noisy marketplace? Thoughts? What are your thoughts? Cassandra, Jason, Sandre, Mark, Alpna, Richard, Paul.
I think I've done that with identifying entrepreneur will then sort of graduate to serial entrepreneur, but in fact, most of us and increasingly the new emerging smart next generation, they are in fact parallel entrepreneurs, not serial entrepreneurs, and not just simply an entrepreneur. So I'm creating the parallel entrepreneur network.
Right. So the parallel entrepreneur, that's the word, the pre-word you put in front, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Anyone else? What do you think about this idea?
So I think I had a counter thought. When you're small, sorry, I guess I moved my computer here, but if you're going to go after a unique category and you're not Apple, I mean, you are ongoing or you're a small business. I mean, what I'm saying, Greg, is don't you need a huge pool to pull that off?
No.
Because you need, and the other thought is, Greg, is that customer perception, right? When you go for something unique, then don't we run the risk of trying to explain to them even more so what that means?
Yes, you do. But look at my screen. There's logistics, the relationship marketing, there's sports, there's internet applications. All of those are categories that people know and understand. All we're talking about here is by adding a word. So
Okay.
how is that confusing people?
I mean, one suggestion is like,
I think the word spatial computing, frankly, I love Apple's Vision Pro, but we all know what has been the success of that or lack thereof, right? I mean, of course, it's going to be successful eventually. Maybe the price point.
Oh, hang on a second. So, but
Yeah.
they named the category for 2030, didn't they? When it's on your glasses, not on a big honking headset. So listen, we're talking about category creation and the long haul. You guys invested
Okay, fair enough.
your business in helping serve people with your product, and it does it probably in a unique way. All right, so I like this quote from Warren
So you
Buffett.
think it helps your brand lift a lot more when you
Yes,
define your own
yes.
thing?
Even
Okay,
if you're
fair
small,
enough.
even if you're
Okay, got it.
small. But I think when you say
I
you're
agree.
small, I would argue how small you are depends on how small you think you are. It's all your perception as a CEO.
And I would agree. Even a single influencer can claim a category like that, like channel as a service. I started evangelizing that as one person with a concept in 2018, and I own it now.
So I like this Warren Buffett's quote. Love that. How do you beat Bobby Fischer? Any game but chess. So that's what we're talking about here. So guys, we're at time now, and I really appreciate your time. I know people need to run. Let me stop sharing my screen and just check in with everybody here. So we didn't get to shift number 3, but we're going to do that in 2 weeks. There's a lot of ground to cover, but I just want to check in. How are you feeling? Did you get value from this interaction? What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Really good. Thank you.
Thought provoking.
Great.
Yeah, definitely a few good concepts. I think what I'm struggling with is, I can go in so many directions since I'm involved in a number of simultaneous projects that are in the gestation period. It's hard to nail it down. And maybe I just need to think of myself as, what I am as a development professional, and build something around that. But yeah, good stuff. Thank you.
Sure. I would say, Gene, do you have any happy customers now, or is this nascent, pre-born product?
There are some, but not enough. And a lot of it is in beta right now.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to do this. It's hard to do this if you don't have a successful product already, by the way, because it's like you don't really know yet the impact of your product because you don't have any happy, delighted customers. So, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? That's really a little bit what we're talking about here. I think it's about of opinion. I don't know, Paul, what you think, or what you think, Rick, but what do you think comes first? Having a product and happy customers to know first how you help them and what problems you solve, or can it start even before the product is built and you have happy customers?
So I think I've actually done a number of these. Like I've named my category, relationship generation. I lead with the problem and the solution, not the problem I solve and who I solve it for. I don't lead with the solution. So I think it's in line with what you're saying, and it has worked. People, when they recognize that they are the group that has the problem, they ask for the solution.
Beautiful. That's exactly right. But would you say, Paul, that if you don't have a product, like to Gene's point, the product hasn't been built, doesn't have customers, is it possible to nail the message? I feel like it's what comes first. It's hard to, I don't know if it's possible. I haven't seen it.
I don't think it makes sense to develop a product. I don't think it makes sense to develop a solution without a problem.
Yeah.
I recognize. Go ahead, finish up.
It's far easier to go from a problem that an audience faces to a solution than to find an audience for a solution.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the cybersecurity product is out for several years and very successful. It's just not overwhelmingly successful because it doesn't have name recognition. But it is out there and there are accolades available.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I could change that. I think that both of Gene's offerings have a beginning, even if they don't have successful customers. And I'll tell you why. The category exists in the cyber crucible. By the way, there is another company out there that claims that they've never been penetrated. That's AppGuard. The category exists, and the vehicle by which to get your product distributed, deployed, exists. And so it's a matter of the messaging and the who you know network to get that moving. And then on the consulting in a box, I think that's very unique. And there are a whole lot of people that are getting laid off and are going into the consulting industry. Franchising worked for a lot of those in the industry when they left and they had a cash buyout or something. Consulting will do the same, but the quicker they can get there and be more effective, the happier they'll be, and their customers will be happier if they're delivering better products. So if you can give them consultant in a box, I think that's got great potential.
Great. All right, Rick, thank you very much. Paul, Gene, thanks guys for staying overtime here in the roundtable. You guys are great. I hope you got value from this.
Absolutely.
If you guys want to meet with us, we're happy to.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
Take care.
all right. Very good. Thank you.